Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter-Spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
An episode of the summer series Confession, going back 69 years to August 16th, 1953, and the George S. Decker case. And we thank you for tuning in on and take heart, because the summer series will be gone soon, and we'll get back to all of the regular stuff we run during the winter months. We thank you for joining us on this Tuesday, 16th day of August. This is the 228th day of the year, 137 days remaining. Revolutionary War Battle of Bennington, Vermont, won by American forces on this date in 1777. The original Siamese twins, Eng and Chang, arrived in Boston on this date in 1829. In 1858, President James Buchanan inaugurated the new transatlantic telegraph cable by exchanging greetings with Queen Victoria of the UK. A weak signal forced shutdown of the service within a few weeks. But still, you could get a message from one side of the ocean to the other without having to wait for a boat to take it. Baseball legend Babe Ruth died on this date in 1948 in New York City at the age of 53.
There's been so many lovely things said about me, and I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to thank everybody. Thank you.
Give him away, sir.
Babe Ruth speaking to a packed Yankee Stadium April 27, 1947. He would pass away 16 months later of throat cancer. Also passing away on this date, Amanda Blake, Kitty Russell on the TV show Gunsmoke, New Zealand professional wrestler Pat O'Connor, a great athlete, actor William Wyndham, actor Peter Fonda, and a fine gentleman and dictator, Idi Amin. Serial killer Ted Bundy arrested for suspicion of burglary on this date in 1975, only to later escape twice. Elvis dying at Graceland, his Memphis, Tennessee home from heart failure on this date in 1977 at the age of 42.
Autopsy had been completed, and the cause of death is cardiac arrhythmia due to undetermined causes. Now, what this means is that there are several cardiovascular diseases present, which include a history of mild hypertension, which was under pretty good control, and some coronary artery disease. Now, these two diseases may have been responsible for this cardiac arrhythmia. The precise cause has not yet been determined for the cardiac arrhythmia. It may take several days to several weeks to determine that specific cause, and in some cases it never is discovered.
Shelby County Medical Examiner Jerry Francisco, who also said there was no evidence of drug use, ruling out an overdose. In 1984, car maker John DeLorean acquitted of all 8 counts of possessing and distributing cocaine. And in 2008, the Trump International Hotel and Tower in Chicago topped off at 1,389 feet at the time, becoming the world's highest residence above ground level. Among those born on this date in history, Prime Minister of Israel, Nobel Prize recipient Menachem Begin, singer Al Hibbler, had a big number 4 hit in 1954. Great song. Actor Fess Parker, also pro wrestler Fritz von Erich, actor Robert Culp, a football player announcer Frank Gifford, Edie Gourmet, and pro wrestler Dirty Dick Murdoch. Birthday number 94 for actress Ann Blythe. 89 years old is Julie Newmar. You remember her as Catwoman on the TV Batman series. Singer Ketty Lester, 88, also was on Little House on the Prairie. Singer-actress Kathy Lee Gifford, 69. Film director James Cameron, 68. Tina Turner in the biopic What's Love Got to Do with It? Angela Bassett, 64. Madonna. Yeah, she's 64 years old. Amazing. From Ordinary People, won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in Ordinary People at the age of 20. Timothy Hutton, now 62. From The Office and Anchorman, Steve Carell is 60 years old. Vanessa Carlton, the singer-songwriter, actress, 42 years of age. The actress daughter of Bruce Willis and Demi Moore, Rumor Willis, 34. And from Shameless and Gotham, Cameron Monaghan? Cameron Monaghan, I think it is. It's 29 years old today, Cameron is. Oh, some of the people celebrating the 16th day of August is their birthday. If this happens to be your birthday...
Hi, we're the Four Freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you!
From 69 years ago, August 16, 1953, Confession on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
You ever make a change and then think, why didn't I do this years ago? Well, that's how people feel about switching to Medishare for their health care, especially now with inflation the way it is. People are very happy with the savings. Most families save about $500 a month when they switch. It's a huge help when prices are going up so fast in so many other areas. And Medishare's customer satisfaction rate is double that of health insurance. It's just a different experience, and people really like that. Medishare is an alternative to health insurance. It's a community of Christians who share each other's healthcare bills, and it's been going strong for over 25 years. It really is the gold standard, the most trusted name in healthcare sharing. Find out why people love it, find out why they rave about the customer service, and find out how good it feels to save some money right now. They're super easy to talk to. Here's the number, 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE, 833-34-BIBLE.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we go back 69 years to August 16, 1953, an episode of Confession in the George S. Decker case.
The confession you are about to hear is an actual tape recording.
All right, read the statement, please.
I make this confession of my own free will because it is true. There's not been any force or violence used upon my person to induce me to make these statements. Without promise of immunity or reward or gratuity, I confess.
You understand, of course, that your statement will be made public through the radio program Confession.
Yes, I do.
Your name, for the purpose of this broadcast, will be George S. Decker. Do you understand that? George, do you understand?
Yes.
You are listening to Confession. The case history of the subject referred to as George S. Decker is a matter of documented record. You will hear the story of his crime experience as told in his own words.
All right, continue, please.
I never met anyone like her. Never.
Like whom, George?
Terry.
Terry.
Teresa. She was tall. Her hair was reddish-brown color, and she just wasn't anything
like whom, George?
Oh, she was different. Different than my mother.
Oh.
Different than anyone I knew. I fell in love with her the first time I met her.
How long ago was that?
Oh, that was about a year and a half ago.
You were 22 then, is that right?
No, I was not quite 22 then.
Mm-hmm. Were you working?
Yeah, right there in Santa Ana.
George, how did you meet Teresa?
Well, we had an argument.
Mm-hmm.
Another one of those arguments. She was always telling me what to do.
Teresa was always telling you?
Hmm?
Teresa You and Teresa argued?
No. No, I told you I was living with my mother. We were always arguing.
I see. You mean your mother and you argued?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she treated me like a kid. She's always telling me to do this, do that, eat this, don't eat that.
Georgie.
Oh, it's true. For Pete's sake, Mom, don't you think I'm old enough to know how to eat?
Georgie, please, don't be so nervous.
How can I help being nervous? All you do is worry and fret and stew about your darling little boy. Your darling little boy's not so little anymore. He can take care of himself.
Well, I know you can, dear. I never said you couldn't.
No, but you'd like to say it. Wouldn't you? You think it all the time, so why don't you say it? Go on, say it.
Georgie, please sit down. Eat.
I'm not hungry.
What is it, Georgie? What bothers you? Why do we always have these arguments over nothing?
Oh, no, it's all my fault. Now, go ahead, blame the arguments on me.
I didn't say anything was your fault, Georgie.
No, but you're thinking it, aren't you?
No.
Not much you're not.
Georgie, where are you going?
Oh, for Pete's sake, I ain't even go out the door without filing a report.
Georgie!
How it always was. She was always trying to keep me home with her. Even as a kid, I never got to hang around with the other kids in the neighborhood. Mom saw to that. Then when my old man died and I had to quit school and go to work, she seemed to need me more. When I wasn't working, I'd stay home with her, keeping her company, pay the rent, pay the bills. Every night I'd do crossword puzzles in the dinette. She'd do the ironing or mending or something in the kitchen. We had nothing to talk about, nothing to do. That night was the same as any other night, but I just had to get out. A guy my age needs people around him. A little action, a few laughs.
Oh, well, now. Look what's all alone and feeling blue. Hi, honey.
Hi.
Well, smile a little.
I'm all right.
Come on, smile for Terry.
What for?
I know a Cocker Spaniel looks just like you, except your ears don't droop. Come on, smile. Well, that's it. Now, you gonna buy me a drink?
You working here?
Does that make a difference?
No.
Okay, then. Mac?
Yeah. What are you drinking?
Well, he knows. Don't you, Mac?
Usual, Terry?
Yeah. You, honey?
Bourbon. Bourbon and water.
Take scotch. It's better for the head.
I like bourbon.
Oh, now you're looking like that Cocker Spaniel again.
I don't like to be told what's good for me.
Okay, forget it. Get the whole thing. See you around.
Oh, wait a minute.
What for?
I'm sorry. Please, have a drink with me.
Oh, no, that's a little bit better.
Well, kid, what are you drinking?
Scotch. Scotch and water, Mac. It's better for my head. She wasn't the kind of girl I ever figured I'd fall for. She was beautiful, but, well, you know the type, a little too much lipstick, wrong kind of clothes. But she had a way of looking at me that started motors buzzing inside me. After the place closed, I walked Terry home. She had a room in one of those old places right downtown.
Cut it out, baby. Next thing you'll be telling me how much you love me.
Is that so terrible? Terry, listen,
Say, little one, it's late. You better go home to Mama.
Don't say that.
What?
Don't talk to me like that.
Okay. Good night, goodbye. See you around.
Hey, Terry, wait. I'm sorry, honest. I gotta see you again, please.
Look, honey, you're a nice kid, but the kind of places I like to go, you can't afford.
No? What makes you so sure?
Well,
What makes you so sure I can't afford it?
Well, since you put it that way, maybe I'm not so sure.
The next night, I took her up to Los Angeles to a real swanky restaurant and to a hotel to dance. I'd never been to either place before because I could never afford it, and I never had the occasion. But now I had to afford it, and I had the occasion. I was with Terry. We went out a lot after that, Terry and me. She stopped wearing so much lipstick, and I bought her the right kind of clothes to wear, presents. And she wore them to please me. They cost a lot of money, and they made her look more beautiful than ever.
Look, hon, I picked this dress out by myself. Like it?
Oh, gosh, that's beautiful. Where did you get that?
Tracy's. I opened a charge account there.
A charge? That's a pretty expensive store there, isn't it?
Oh, now, baby, you're sounding like a husband or something.
No, I got bills to pay for my mother, too.
I know.
Well, after all,
Don't you ever forget Mama.
No. Sometimes I wish I could, but I don't.
Come here, honey. Come here. Come on over here.
Sometimes we go to Laguna or over to Long Beach, but most of the time we just hang around Santa Ana in a bar, someplace or other. It's always pretty late when I got home. What are you doing up so late, Mom?
Just waiting for you.
What now?
I never get a chance to talk to you anymore, Georgie.
Not tonight, Mom. It's late.
Georgie.
Not tonight, Mom.
Mr. Blackett stopped in this afternoon.
Yeah?
He wanted his rent, Georgie. Last month's and this month's.
He'll get it. Oh, go to sleep.
Georgie, you told me you paid the rent.
Oh, for Pete's sake, we're going to argue about that now.
I don't want to argue, son. I just didn't know what to say to him. I was so sure you'd paid it.
What are you trying to do, make me out a liar?
No, dear.
You let me handle it, will you? I'm running this house. You keep out of it. Keep out of all my business.
Well, I'm not interfering. It's your money. It's your business. But if you'd only...
If I'd only what? If I'd only stop spending so much on Terry. Is that what you want to say?
Oh, Georgie.
Look, you let me tell you something. You can interfere all you want, but Terry's the girl I'm going to marry.
Mary.
Mary. Suppose you think she's not good enough for your darling little boy.
Well, I didn't say that. I didn't say anything.
No, but you're thinking it.
I don't even know the girl.
Yeah, but you're thinking it anyway. You're...
Georgie, please. Please stop it. Stop it. I haven't said anything. Stop it, please.
Mom. Mom, look, cut it out, huh? You don't have to cry like that. Mom, listen, I'm sorry. I don't know why I blow up like this. Please, Mom, don't cry.
All right. It's all right, Georgie.
I hated her for crying like that. When she cried, it made me feel sorry for her. It made me feel everything was my fault. I hated her for that. And Terry, I hated her even more for putting me in a spot like that. I had to borrow money against my salary to pay the rent. A few weeks later, I had to borrow again to pay Terry's charge account. I got sore. I told Terry to quit spending so much money.
Is it so terrible to show a girl how much you love her? Is it, honey?
Never mind that stuff, Terry. You know I can't afford it.
You talk more like a husband every day.
No, I can't help it. No, please, Terry, you gotta go easy. After all, we're not married yet.
Married?
What's so funny?
Oh, honey, you're a sweet kid. But you and me married?
What's wrong with you and me being married? Huh? What's wrong with it?
Georgie, what would you do with your mama? Take her along on our honeymoon?
Stop that. You stop that. You stop that. I said, don't you laugh at me like that. I'll kick you, Lemon.
George, stop it, George!
I swear I'm a kid.
George, please, George. Stop.
You are listening to Confession. Before continuing with the documented record of the subject referred to as George S. Decker, the National Broadcasting Company is honored to present Mr. Richard A. McGee, Director of Corrections, Department of Corrections, State of California. Mr. McGee.
The story you are hearing tonight is a story about a man who is mentally ill. You would never know it if you saw him on the street. The mentally ill wear no scars. Yet a psychiatrist's report on him might read as follows. Passive, dependent personality with emotional instability and immaturity. In simpler language, this man is totally unprepared to cope with reality. there's an explosive quality in him which might someday erupt into a crime of anger and violence. Perhaps if his parents had recognized in him these symptoms of abnormal behavior, he might have been helped. For most of the mentally ill, there is treatment and cure.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. Now to continue with confession and the documented record of the subject referred to as George S. Decker.
Continue with your story.
I had her neck in my hands. Yeah, I can remember it easy. It was like this. I held her like this.
All right. All right, go on with your story.
Like this. My thumb squeezed tight into her throat.
That's all right. Why were you trying to kill her, George?
See my thumbs?
Why were you trying to kill her, George?
Kill her? Terry?
Yes. You were trying to kill her, weren't you?
No. Not Terry. I was trying to kill...
Who?
I don't know exactly. She was Terry, but she was my mother, too.
Guy trying to play solitaire with 48 cards. 69 years ago, August 16, 1953. Confession on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Veterinary telemedicine is booming. Hi, I'm Dr. Lori Teller, president of the American Veterinary Medical Association, and I know firsthand that telehealth is a valuable tool to help provide our precious pets with the healthcare they need and deserve. Here are some situations where telemedicine may be an option for you and your pet. If the veterinarian has seen your pet in person in the past. If you're not sure you need to schedule an in-person visit. If your pet had surgery and needs post-operative follow-up. For skin diseases and rash rechecks. When your veterinarian needs to monitor your pet's chronic problems such as diabetes or allergies. If there are behavioral issues or training challenges. Or for hospice care. It's always good to have your session in a quiet place with good lighting. If you're not sure if you should set up a telehealth session, call your veterinarian and they'll let you know. To learn more, check out avma.org/telehealth. avma.org/telehealth.
Thanks for tuning into Classic Radio Theater on your favorite station, an episode of the summer series Confessions, as it was originally broadcast on Sunday, August 16, 1953, in the newspapers of that Sunday 69 years ago. These were some of the headlines. Senator William F. Nolan warned the free world yesterday if any moves are made to bring communist China into the United Nations, he will call for Senate adoption of a measure declaring the U.S. will get out of the UN. The Senate Majority Leader said if Red China was allowed to shoot its way into membership in the UN, it would be a violation of every moral principle in the UN Charter. If other nations try to vote Communist China in, I shall proceed to move a resolution which I've already introduced in the U.S. Senate. There's a cool man in a hot job today. His name, Arthur William Radford, a four-star admiral and the new chairman of the U.S. Chiefs of Staff. Radford taking over the nation's #1 military assignment from General Omar N. Bradley. He has a new team to work with and one specific order from his boss, President Eisenhower. The order, all decisions on the Joint Chiefs must be unanimous. The 16 United Nations allies who fought together in Korea reached a virtual agreement yesterday on a formula to seat Russia at the Korean Peace Conference. A 3-hour harmony meeting to heal a U.S.-British breach on the question broke up with a formal announcement of substantial progress. From some sources, however, it was learned agreements were to hear that delegates were cabling home to their governments last night to approve the ratification of it at another meeting of the 16 today. Operation Big Switch passed the halfway mark in time today, with the Allies outdoing the Reds in the Korean War prisoner exchange. The Reds returned 412 Allied men, 75 American, 75 British, 262 South Koreans. The Allies returned 2,400 North Koreans. This brought to better than 50% the number of Red prisoners the Allied promised to return, while the Communists have released a little better than 40% of the UN troops they held. Italy's post-war financial recovery boss, Giuseppe Pella, announced last night he would be a short-term premier with a soft pedal on politics to pull the country out of its budget crisis. He acknowledged his new government will be short-lived. Premier Pella named a cabinet that omitted former Premier Alcide de Gasperi, who had been expected to be his foreign minister. Well, an ancient automobile rumbled down the street in Raleigh, North Carolina. Patrolman Sam Clarkson pulled alongside, motioning the motorist to stop. As the car stopped, its bumper fell off. A few seconds later, the radiator collapsed. A wrecker was called, and when it hitched a tow line to the dilapidated car, started pulling it, the car's trunk door fell off, and a fender broke loose and dangled behind a wheel. Clarkson said, "I was afraid we were going to have to call a car and a truck and just unload the heap of parts on it." Clarkson, after seeing the car to a garage and charging the driver with drunken driving. Those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Sunday, August 16, 1953, on your radio confession. The conclusion next on this Tuesday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station. On Wednesday's Classic Radio Theater, the summer replacement series for CBS Somebody Knows, 72 years ago, August 17, 1950, the replacement for Suspense, the Jean Croyle Long murder. On May 25, 1944, Mrs. Long, buried in Detroit, church volunteer whose marriage had recently broken up. 2 days earlier, she was murdered at the church. She had been stabbed 3 times in the chest, CBS offering $5,000 for information leading to the conviction of the killer. As far as we're able to tell, it never was solved. That's on tomorrow's Classic Radio Theater. We'll let you hear the entire show. Somebody Knows. Now the conclusion of Confession, 69 years ago, August 16th, 1953.
I was like I had my mother's neck in my hands, and
George, you're a sap. You're the biggest sap I know.
I was choking you.
Sure, I know. Go on, get out of here.
Terry.
Go on. Get out of here.
Please, Terry.
Beat it. You can't even do a good job of murder.
I started to walk home, but I just kept on walking. My hands hurt. My fingers were cramped. My head kept spinning and buzzing. I could have killed her, but I didn't. I wanted to, but I didn't. For the first time in my life, I felt real strong, but she won anyway. Why? Everybody that passed me in the street, I felt like asking why, but I didn't. I just walked. I walked all night. By the time I got home, it wasn't night anymore.
Georgie,
Yeah, Ma?
where have you been? I've been calling everywhere. I've been so worried.
For Pete's sake, stop worrying about me. You hear me? Stop worrying about me. If everybody let me alone.
Here, Georgie.
What's that?
A letter for you. Selective Service Board.
Selective. Let me see.
Your draft notice.
Yeah, my draft notice.
Georgie, dear.
Mom, I don't want this. I can't go into the Army. Mom, they can't take me.
Well, there's nothing you can do about it, dear.
Yeah, but I support you, don't I? Don't I support you? You're my dependent. If they took me, that you...
But, Georgie, they've taken other boys. It'd only be for a year. I could manage.
Mama, I think you want me to be drafted.
Oh, you know that's not so.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you don't
You don't care if they draft me. You don't care what they do to me.
Oh, George.
You're all alike, you and Terry. You don't care. Well, I care. And other people care, too, even if you don't.
I didn't go to work. I just sat in my room all morning. I had to think. Mom knocked on the door a couple of times, but I didn't answer. I had to think, but my head kept spinning, wouldn't let me think of anything but Terry. I was worried about her. Knew she was sore at me. But now I needed her. Well, when Mother had walked out on me, I needed Terry bad. Maybe if she knew how much I needed her.
Hello?
Terry?
Yes, who's this?
Terry, I have to see you.
Oh, you.
Terry, please, I have to talk to you. It's important.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Please, Terry. Terry! Terry! I called her again. I kept calling her, but she wouldn't come to the phone. I had to talk to her. I had to tell her how sorry I was. I had to tell her how much I needed her. I needed her more than ever now. I wanted to marry her. I could take care of her just like I'd been doing. She knew that. If she married me, she'd be my dependent. I'd have to take care of her or be drafted. Well, she liked that. Getting even more money out of me. I had to tell her, but she wouldn't answer my calls. I kept calling till it was dark, and then I went down to Mac's cocktail lounge. Terry'd be there, I figured.
Well, look who's here. Hi, George, boy. What'll it be?
Terry around, Mac?
Terry? She called up, said she wasn't feeling so good. Said she had a sore throat.
Oh. Yeah, that's right.
Anything I can do for you, kid?
No, thanks.
Now, sit down and have a drink. You look like you can use one.
Okay.
There's some wrong?
Got my draft notice.
Uh-oh.
I've got to see Terry. Got to talk to her.
Oh, sure. Can't blame you for that. She's home now, I guess.
Yeah. She always laughed when I asked her to marry me. Now she can't laugh. Now she wants me around. She'll have to marry me, right, Mac?
Well, sure, kid. She ever say anything about marrying you?
What's the matter, Mac? What are you looking like that for?
Didn't she ever tell you?
Tell me what?
About Jerry.
Jerry? Who's Jerry? Mac, who's Jerry?
Her husband.
A what?
Her husband. Doing a stretch for forgery. Been at San Quentin a couple years now. Should be due out pretty quick. I figure you know, George. I figured she must have told you, but... Hey, wait a minute, kid. Let me fix your drink. Hey, George.
I was walking again. For some reason, I was walking back home, but when I got home, I kept on walking. My head was spinning like it did once before. My hands hurt. My fingers were cramping up. I could almost feel Terry's neck in my hands. I wanted to squeeze the life out of her, to kill her. But there was something in the way. Always there was something in the way. I had to get rid of it. I had to get rid of what was in the way. It was late. Real late. I was standing across the street from Terry's rooming house. I stood there for an hour. Maybe 2 hours, I don't know. I saw the light in her room go out. I saw her open the window in the dark. She was going to sleep. I waited some more. Till I knew for sure she was asleep. Till the whole house looked like it was asleep. There was a brick I tripped on, one of those concrete building blocks. That was in the alley around the side of the house near the fire escape. That's where I was going. Up the fire escape. I took the brick with me. I stopped at the first landing. That was her room there. I could even see her through the window. Window was open. Could get inside easy. She was right there. I could see her sleeping. I started to go inside and I stopped. I couldn't do it. Not yet. She looked so beautiful, I couldn't do it. I started to walk home, but I was tired. My head hurt. My hands, even my arms hurt too. I stopped in Max.
All right, kiddo. I didn't expect to see you back this time of night. You get to see Terry? You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
And drink?
Okay.
Here you are. See Terry?
Mm-hmm.
And?
She's beautiful, Mac. There's nobody like her anywhere.
Oh, she is. You loaded?
No.
What are you lugging a hunk of cement around for?
I need it.
What for? You ain't gonna build a wall, are you?
No, but it's just right.
It's right for what?
You better go. See you, Mac.
Where are you going, George?
Gotta go back.
Back where? Kind of late to be seeing Terry again, ain't it?
I knew I could do it now. I had to do it. I walked back. I walked all the way back. A long way. This time I could do it right. No alleys, no fire escapes. This time I used my key. Why shouldn't I have a key? I had enough money invested in her. I had a right to have a key. The place was dark and quiet. I felt quiet, too. Relaxed. I stood there at the bed watching her sleep. Lying there with her eyes closed, she looked sad. Sad and peaceful, the way I felt. I stood there looking down at her. I don't know how long I stood there. Then I lifted the cement block. It was heavier. It was heavier than I figured, but I lifted it way up. High, right over her. She moved a little, and I waited. The block was getting heavier. Her eyes opened, slow at first, then big and wide.
Georgie? What?
I brought it down. Hard. I phoned Mac at his cocktail lounge, told him what I did. He didn't believe me at first, but then he told me to stay right there. I didn't want to go anyplace anyway. I was tired. I just sat there, and pretty soon the cops came in. One of them was a detective, Lieutenant somebody or other.
Come on, Decker.
Why two?
Where to? Where do you think we take people who kill their mothers?
Mothers? I didn't kill my mother.
No? Who did?
I mean, I didn't want to kill her. I didn't want to kill my mother at all. I don't get it. I don't understand.
Sure, I know. You don't, kid. I know you don't. Ready?
I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Come on.
You have just heard an actual confession. This case history of the subject referred to as George S. Decker is a matter of documented record. To protect the legal rights of the subject, names and places were changed or deleted. Technical advice for confession comes from the Office of the Director of Corrections, Department of Corrections, State of California. In a moment, you will hear again from George S. Decker.
Subject was tried in Orange County, California, for murder, first degree. Found not guilty by reason of insanity. Awarded custody, California State Department of Mental Hygiene. Confined. Mendocino State Hospital, Talmadge, California. Psychiatrist report. To date, unfavorable. An individual with deep-seated, unresolved emotional problems, which will require long-range treatment. Now, George S. Decker.
I tried to tell you everything that happened, even the way I felt when it was happening. Maybe you understand, maybe you don't. Anyhow, for me, talking and telling you about it helps. People I talk to up here have a way of making things clear. They tell me they'll let me go when I know I'm ready to go. I don't know when that'll be. Sometimes everything seems to make sense for me. Other times I just don't know. I just don't know.
This has been Confession, transcribed statements of actual crimes. These true tragedies are brought to you each week as an NBC Radio Network production in an effort to stem the nation's forward march of crime. Credit for this broadcast goes to our cast: Paul Frees, Lamont Johnson, Charlotte Lawrence, Helen Klebe, Jack Crucian. Script Don Brinkley. Music Michael Samoki. Script supervision Warren Lewis. Direction Homer Canfield. John Wall speaking. Confession, a Canfield-Lewis creation, came to you from California.
From 69 years ago, August 16, 1953, Confession here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. I want to take a moment to thank all of you who have been so kind to use the Buy Me a Coffee function over at classicradio.stream. It has helped us work to acquire some more great Classic Radio Theater programs that you will be hearing here in the next weeks and months here on your favorite station. Classicradio.stream, you can stream our shows on demand, learn more about classic radio collecting. You can contact me there, and you can also learn how to build a classic radio collection of your own. Find our social media links, and you can also find places that you can download our shows. That's over at classicradio.stream. Please thank this radio station and support their advertisers. It is their kindness and courtesy that allow us to be with you each and every time we roll around here on your favorite radio station. Have yourself a great day, won't you please, and do me a favor. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the radio dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.